Okay, so this first one should go really smoothly because I essentially just accidentally practiced it. The Paralympics have, I believe, started today. I am not 100% sure because I am as excited about the Paralympics as I am about the regular Olympics, which I don't really care about. The Olympics was rife with scandals. You had like the guy who was basically in charge, the organizing guy. He made sexist comments, and he said, I was going to quit because of my sexist comments because everyone was so offended. But then everyone cried when I said I was going to quit. So I didn't quit. And then he got like pushed out. And then you had the organizer of the opening ceremony who said, I want to take this famous comedian and dress her up like a pig and hang her from the ceiling. And everyone was like, what? That's what you want to do? And call her Olympig. And then we found out that Cornelius, the musician, who was doing the music for, I believe, the opening and closing ceremonies, proudly in the 90s in an interview declared that he had bullied his disabled classmates in explicit and horrifying ways. He was cut. So the Paralympics have started, and they were like, well, we want to make sure these sort of scandals don't happen again to mar the image of the Paralympics. So there's really only one solution, and it's not hire good people who haven't done awful things or make terrible jokes. There was the guy who made a joke about the Holocaust. That's a different guy. I've now got like the 4 scandals, and they've all blended into one awful person in my head. But no, there was 4 that I can think of off the top of my head. There might be even a couple more that are sort of smaller. The Paralympics are like, okay, we have the organizing sort of committee, the group that's going to put all the music together and do all the ceremonies and stuff. And we don't want them to be scandal ridden like the Olympics. We've learned a lesson. And the lesson is, don't tell anyone who those people are. And I'm a little torn. I can't tell, is that a Japanese solution or a corporate solution? It's probably both. Like, I've been in Japan a long time, and let's ignore it and hope it goes away is a pretty Japanese solution to problems. And then there's also the corporations are like, well, if no one knows we're doing bad things, are we doing bad things? That would actually apply to a lot of the video game scandals that are coming out right now. Like, they would have kept going forever if they didn't get called out for it. Now they're getting called out for it. Everyone's like, oh no, that was horrible. We don't support that kind of behavior, despite the fact that it's been going on for, a decade. I have a feeling that if you have to create a secret society of your organizing committee, you've already kind of stepped to the dark side. Maybe I'm just down on secret societies. Maybe that's the problem. They would not reveal who is involved in the organizing committee of the Paralympics until the day it starts, which I believe is today, as I said before. I'm not actually sure it's today or tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's today. I don't care. Maybe that's the issue here, is I actually don't care. But what could go wrong? I mean, you have a secret organized group organizing the Olympics. The hope, I know, is that if they have a scandalous past, it won't come out until they've already, like, let's say, used the music in the opening ceremony. So now we can fire him, but we've already had this great opening ceremony. He's made sexist comments the whole time, but if we fire him now, all the organization's been done. So I don't know, not really the attitude. I guess transparency hasn't been the theme of the Olympics, certainly so far. But there's an interesting thing to look forward to. If we're going to get a scandal out of the Paralympics, it's going to be too late to do anything about it. But that was engineered from the beginning. It's interesting to know that going in. So that I'm now just waiting for a scandal to break. And once that scandal breaks, well, we've already done the opening ceremony. There's nothing we could do about that other than, have been honest from the beginning. I guess I don't have many stories because it's been a rough week. Do people who listen in Engine News Japan want to hear about my week? Am I just like a voice that delivers news and slight content like editorialization? Or am I a human being? It's a weird question to have to ask yourself. Am I a human being? I had my second vaccine on Sunday. Not many ill effects. Maybe it's I was just about to make a joke about cognition, but then couldn't think of the word that I needed, like denigrate, diminish. I think diminish my cognition or my cognitive abilities. It's good that I can still use big words or complicated vocabulary. It's sad that I can't bring it to mind as quickly. Maybe I used I almost said serum. I've lost it completely. The vaccine has clearly had a negative impact. I know this is exactly the same for anyone who's listening, but it feels different. Maybe I'm magnetic. The lady in Florida who said she was magnetic and stuck a key to her neck and then it fell off. I want to do that. Okay. Densha de go. Now, if you don't live in Japan, it's actually very possible that even if you live in Japan, you don't know what Densha de go is. Up on the screen, I have put a official Nintendo Switch Densha de go controller. Densha de go is a train driving simulator. So it's not like there may be a story. I've never actually played one. I've never played a simulator game. Lawn mowing simulator came out recently, or is going to come out soon. The ads have come out recently, and my friends were like, "Oh, you should play this." I was like, "Why do people think I want to do boring things?" I don't know what. I was about to say bad, but people love those things, so I can't really say it was bad. I think it's because I watch a lot of bad movies. And I watch the bad movies kind of so I can analyze why they're bad. It's interesting to me. But whatever. And this is a game where you travel. You are a train conductor, and your job is to be on time. So that is the goal of the game, is to drive your train. And so there are times you have to speed up and slow down, and you have to stop the train as smoothly as possible. If you stop too fast, it will actually give you like a score of how many like injuries you had on your train. If you go too fast and hit a corner, you get injuries. If you are late or early in your ride, you get penalized. That's how strict the Japanese system is. There are houses and apartments in the game as you go past that are like real world locations. The official controller for Nintendo Switch, they haven't had an official controller for 14 years. 14 years ago, for the Nintendo Wii, they released a game. It was in 2007. And in that game, they had an official controller. It wasn't as good as this one. There's actually not been a new game, but there's been a new release. This controller is 14,850 yen, which is like $130, $140 in America. Since 2004, there actually hasn't been a new Densha de go release. There's been spin-offs and things like that. This one is the JR Yamanote line, which is the one that loops around Tokyo. So if you have an incredible desire to be a train driver, I've always found it weird, simulation games, because you're primarily simulating a job you don't have. And I work, and I don't think I would want to simulate my work. Like it would be like desk worker simulator. I guess all the simulation games are more active, but then even then, it's like, I know there's truck driving simulators really popular. And then there was like a farming simulator. It has a bunch of games. I don't get it. And I'm not saying they're bad and you shouldn't play them. But if you're going to play Densha de go, which I still don't really understand why you would do that, you should buy this controller. Because if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. This has the actual, it's like official. This is what a real train conductor uses. It has the levels of acceleration and the levels of braking. It has 8 levels of acceleration, 5 levels of braking. So, I mean, you can brake as hard or as gently as you want. You can accelerate as hard or as gently as you want. I mean, the world is just your oyster at that point. You can try to be a better train driver than the actual train drivers. And I have no idea if that's hard or not, but it's the world we live in. And Densha de go, you can see what we're looking at right now. It's a first person view, but really what you have to do is look at the environments around it. The environments around it are real. So like those houses that just provided, that's like someone's house. And the buildings, those are real office buildings that you would see if you were on that train looking out the front window. It's insane. It's insane for me. I shouldn't really rip on other people. I actually just want to look at these controls. So in this, he's going 40 kilometers an hour. I think he's pulling into the station. It's got a time up in the corner. It's got some other things you can do, like the horn and stuff. That's pretty fun. I mean, just I'm blown away. I'm blown away by how awesome that is. And people's dreams do come true. Okay. Even when I'm trying to not be mean to people who enjoy things, I'm still mean to people who enjoy things. Gantz is not just a sound I made. It's the name of a manga. And they made a live action movie in Japan. It wasn't bad. It had Ninomiya from a boy band. He's actually a cool, interesting guy. He's just tiny. So when they put him in the really skinny suit, he did not look particularly heroic. But maybe that's what they were going for. I'm not sure. Because I watched the movie. I watched it with subtitles. The Japanese was too hard for me. It's hard sometimes to get the feeling of the character. But he was supposed to be the hero by the end. And let's just say he does not look heroic. So they're talking to the guy who created the manga. And they said, like, why aren't we getting more anime? Why aren't we getting anything for it? And he said, actually, the problem is Hollywood. A Hollywood company holds the rights to Gantz to make live action movies or movies, which would include anime, for 4 more years. So basically, because this Hollywood company has the rights and are just sitting on it, not actually using it, that means we will not get a new Gantz. Am I saying that right? I'm not sure. A new Gantz anime or movie or live action film or anything until those rights return to someone who's actually going to be active with it, which I always find weird. I like owning the rights to something and then not using it. It seems really weird to me. Like, I have a friend who is constantly trying to get me to buy the rights to like old Golden Age comic books so that we can make a new superhero or something. If I did that, like, I don't have enough money to actually do it, I'm sure. I have no idea how much like the rights to I can't even think of it. They're all Captain America ripoffs. But I have no idea how much the rights to something like that would cost. It would be interesting, but Gantz, like, I watched Gantz. I watched some anime. It's an interesting concept. They have created a whole universe. It would make a lot of sense to make anime and movies based on Gantz. The movies they made were okay, but they were Japanese movies, so they didn't really have the same sort of budget as an American movie would have. It seems, I don't know, why own something and not use it? But this is sort of a very me thing, is if I have something, I'm using it. I don't collect things to just sit on shelves. If it doesn't have viable usage, I don't want it. And it's the same for owning a property or the rights to something. If I'm not going to use it, sell to someone else. I actually have had things that I've bought that I've then given away just so that other people could use them, because I know they would get more use out of it than I would. One of the only benefits of being my friend, that and hearing about me say, hey, said that on the podcast like a million times. Okay, we got 2 more stories. In Kyoto, a man left a bag of knives on someone's doorstep. Basically, this guy is just walking very casually along the road. He has like a plastic bag. He takes that plastic bag and he walks up to this other person's house, and he very, relatively politely, gently, he's wearing Nikes. He's not wearing Nikes. They're just weird shape on the front. Don't know why I noticed his shoes. He very gently lays down this pack of knives on the guy's doorstep. The knives themselves, there were 17 knives in his bag, and 12 of those knives, the blades were painted red. Now that has an implicit threat to it. Sort of. Weirdly, he's given you all his knives. So if he's a knife murderer, he's actually just, as I've said in a similar thing, there was a story we did before. where there was a guy who sent a knife to a politician. I'm like, if you're going to kill him with a knife, you've actually just leveled the playing field because now he has a knife too. Giving 17 knives, I mean, you've basically armed this person to the teeth. Why? It's an implicit threat, but at the same time, you're making sure that person is safe from you knife-wise. All I'm saying is the guy who's leaving the knives, I assume, intends on bringing a gun to this knife fight. Because if it's a knife fight, your opponent now has 17 knives. So it's just a weird thing. So why do we have such clear video footage of this? Is because 2 years ago, the owner of the house installed cameras. And he installed cameras because someone had walked up to his front step and left knives on his front door. So the reason we're seeing this video footage is because this is the same, probably, it's an assumption, this is the same person doing the same thing 2 years apart, which is strange in itself. Because why? Okay. So I'm trying to get my head into the headspace of someone who's trying to threaten someone or scare someone. So I come to your house and I leave knives. That's a threat. It's like, yeah, I've painted them red. It's the color of blood. There's an implication here that you will suffer from me. And then I don't do it again for 2 more years. I've kind of lost momentum there, is my feeling. Or because I would be like, oh, you got to do it every week, every couple of days, something like that. Kind of keep the tension high. The only other explanation I could make up is that this guy's like, oh, what I'll do is I'll do it once, wait 2 years, and then come back and do it again. And when I do it again, what's going to happen is the guy's going to have no idea when this is going to happen. It's going to be cray-cray. He's going to not know what's going on. He's going to be like, oh, are the knives going to appear today? The only problem there is if the guy needs a knife, you've really helped him out. The last part, as he walks away, as the man who leaves the knives walks away, he just took a can and spray painted the dude's car a little bit. Like just a tiny bit, just under the front headlight. He just a little of spray. And it's red. It's the same color as the knife. So he's using the same spray to spray the guy's car. So he's angry about something. But it's very hard to tell what. Like what transpired to make this person want to leave knives on your doorstep and then spray paint a tiny bit of the front of your headlight. It's a very, very unusual thing. There is no explanation. The man, since there's very clear video footage, it's very likely the man's going to get arrested pretty soon. Then we will hopefully get a statement from the terrorist here and find out why he's done this. Because that's the bit I want. I always want to know the why and wherefore of these things. The why and wherefore of this is a bit confusing. Because you're just giving a guy knives, which is not the worst thing. Unless he's like, oh, hey, I think maybe you need more knives in your life. Here's some knives. And, oh, there was a little something on your car. Or I think this color of red would be more appropriate for your car. I think it would be better. And this was just like a very roundabout way to be very helpful, but he was too shy to do it directly. There's a nice way to end off that story that I've just made up that is completely inaccurate. This has become what started Ninja News Japan, I think 3 years ago, was a poop story. It was a story about a man who dragged poop, and it was a huge, I forget the number. It was like 37 meters through a station. So he'd like scraped it with his foot. And I was trying to figure out, did he poop once and get it on his foot and just manage to evenly spread that out over the floor? Or did he poop continuously as he was walking forward? I may have had an answer to something like that with this, our last story of the day. So really, this story, as gross as it is what Ninja News Japan was born from. Poop stories. Japanese poop stories. A girl had discovered, she's 17 years old, she's walking home, she's discovered that someone has smeared poop on the back of her backpack. So that's horrendous. She basically could smell something. It was like, ew, ew, ew. And then like realized it's still around me, which means it's probably on me, which is actually pretty sensible on her part. So she takes off her backpack. She sees the poop smeared on it. She goes to the cops and is like, someone put poop on me. So the cops are like, let's check it out. And so 1 month later, they made an arrest, which is interesting. There's a whole separate thing to think about there, is that they have time. So crime in Japan is very low for the most part. There are certain crimes that get ignored, which is like sexual abuse and stuff like that, which is bad. But then overall crime is so low that they have time to put into, oh, someone smeared poop on you. Let's get CSI on that right now. Anyways, they made an arrest. When they arrested him, he had a 500 milliliter bottle in his backpack. So it's just like a standard water bottle. In that bottle was his own poop. Now, you know what a water bottle looks like, and you know the shape of it. So I'm not going to like put it on the screen or something. I personally could not poop into a water bottle. So my only question really is, how did he get it into the water bottle? Did he? So here's we go. This is where my brain goes. Did he poop directly into the water bottle, which would have been messy at the best time? So I was thinking direct rectum to bottle contact so that he poops directly into the bottle. I think very difficult to pull off. The alternative then is B. System B would be a funnel of sorts. You poop into the funnel and then you push the poop through the funnel into the bottle. I hope you're not eating breakfast. C. Collect the poop post-poop and then put it into the bottle some other way. Like I would hope while wearing gloves. Collect the poop and put it in the bottle. But there is no smooth, clean transition. So this guy, like that's it to me. I would never think of doing this because I wouldn't actually be like, I don't want to mess with my poop that much to get it in the bottle so that I could carry it around during the day so that I could then smear it on a 17-year-old girl's backpack. That might be my fault. I'm not driven enough like this man is. So he's got a system of some sort of how to get the poop into the bottle. And that is the bit that I want to know about the most. He also had another tube. The tube was not as clearly explained, also including his own poop. I have trouble getting past that point because no, I don't even want to talk about it, but I'm going to because I started. So if I started, I should finish. When you do health checks in Japan, they want a poop sample. So they give you a piece of paper that you put in the toilet and you poop on the piece of paper and you take a little swab and you wipe it up and down your poop and then you put that away. It's not that bad. You don't actually have to come into contact with the poop at any time unless you make some sort of mistake. But that's already off-putting to me. The process this guy had to go to get a full bottle of poop is a bit much. Like not a bit much. It's too much. Let's just say Ninja News Japan is going to make a stand and saying pooping in a bottle is too much. So why did he do it? Again, the why is always an important part. He said that the stress from work and a recent divorce caused him enough stress that he wanted to put poop on women, not even necessarily happy women. I had that in my head from a story from like 2 weeks ago where there was a guy on a train and he attacked, and he literally said he was attacking happy looking women. That leads me to the second thing that I'll also never get an answer to, which is too bad, is how does putting poop on other people relieve your stress? So if it's from stress causes you to do this, gets you into the mindset where you wake up in the morning and go, all right, today I'm going to take that water bottle that I had last night and I'm going to poop into that and I'm going to carry that around with me for a day or two. I assume, I don't know how often victims came up. I'm going to carry that around, let's say for a day. And then when the opportunity arises, I'm going to put that on a girl's back. And man, that's going to make me feel better. Like there's a reason therapists don't recommend that. First of all, because it's poop related, but I don't think it's an effective form of therapy to relieve your stress. Now, I don't live that man's life, so I don't know. I know that putting poop on other people, getting the poop into the bottle would be stressful enough for me not to want to do it. Maybe that's it. It would cause me more stress in the setup. And then so the release of actually doing it wouldn't be enough to offset that. So I would actually just be increasing my base level of stress overall by going through the process.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe on iTunes, Google, Spotify, or anywhere you get podcasts. You can also watch on YouTube/Velocipodcast or streaming on twitch.tv/chunkmcbeefchest. You can find Ninja News Japan on Facebook. Send questions or comments to speakpipe.com/Velocipodcast for your first step to fame. Not the good kind, the fleeting pointless kind. Link in the description. Check out all the podcasts in the Velocipodcast family. See McB, Ninja News Japan and Daily Affirmations Weekly. You have learned today that Ninja News Japan will never poop on you. Never spread poop on you. We are not pro-poop in this way. We want to reduce your stress. Sexy out, homies.